life, or actually my life's work dedicated to creation that led me up to this point. So you could say my 30 years of creation. Long story short, it's very interesting, you know, seeing the difference between online and seeing the difference between the real world. And one story I want to share, which I've never spoken about, was like, as I've become more famous, and I don't like to use the word, and fame grosses me out, and the whole concepts of it is just horrible to me. It's like gross. But there's a cost for everything. And for me as an artist to make the life's work be making the impact, I have to reach people. And the goal is to inspire people. So if I don't do this stuff, then there's no way people are going to find it. So the whole thing is just a wasted effort, you know? I'm just making something, and I could make a contribution. Instead, I'm just, you know, almost being selfish, or you could say, you know, doing nothing to move forward humanity or help people from their suffering at least. So long story short, I started having crazy situations. I went from, with Life Goes On, like probably from no followers on TikTok to 10 million within a 2-month span or something like that. And then like with Miss You, the next one, it went from 10 million to 15 million in another couple months span. Obviously there was time in between those. But seeing like, and I went to Africa when Life Goes On went off, and I was in Morocco finishing the Cowboy album, Cowboy Tears. And then I went to Egypt, and when I had returned, I went to a friend's wedding in Utah, and everything changed. That's when it really happened. It spiked off. And before that, I was on the phone, I was seeing it, but I didn't really go outside. And I talked to TikTok. I was like, how fake is this stuff? How many zeros are you guys adding onto it? They're like, no, this is real. I was like, yeah, sure. I'm sure the label just put some number, adds the number up or whatever. And then like when I returned from Egypt, and I was in Utah in the middle of nowhere, and like my friend's wedding, and we had this dinner afterwards, and like everything had shifted because the chefs started coming out. People started coming into the restaurant. Every family every single person in the restaurant was asking for pictures, and it was my friend's wedding, and they brought me a cake, not my friend. I was like, hey, it's my friend's wedding, like, and they're like, we don't care. They like actually said that to my friends. It doesn't matter. They were in good gesture and heart to me, but it was kind of like, whoa, crazy. Long story short, I started seeing how people started acting, right? So that's not the story I want to share, but I want to share this one story of seeing like how things started shifting crazily. And one point I went out and I went to a bar, and I'm sober. So I just like, I'm hanging out with some other people. Some of them were sober as well. And we're just like, oh, let's hang out after this festival, and it's other artists. And we're hanging, and this dude comes up to me and he's like, dude, oh man, I love you so much, dude. You're such a legend, blah, blah, blah. And then he walks away, and then this girl comes up. She's like, that's my boyfriend. He's a fucking liar. He hates you so much. Anytime I play your music, he literally says, turn this garbage off, blah, blah. And then, so like, I'm like, all right, that's pretty wild. Cause like, you think about that and you're like, that's crazy that that's the dude who's saying like, turn this shit off every day to her and being like, fuck this guy. And then it wasn't that. This dude came up again, maybe an hour later. He's like, yo, let me get you a shot, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, I'm sober. I'm good, dude. He's like, oh, like, and I already know this now about this guy. And he's like, bro, like, man, your shit is so fucking epic. Like, I love your music. And then flash forward like an hour later, and right before I'm leaving the thing, and he's like, bro, can I get a picture? Like, I'm like, and he's like talking to me, and then I give him a picture because I'm like, sure, whatever, yeah, we'll give you the picture. And then he's literally like, bro, I live for people like you. He like looks me in the eyes, like, he said some crazy story about something about 30 people he knew died that past couple years or something. He's like, bro, I live for people like you. And that's the same guy who hates my guts. You know what I mean?
So what did you extract from that? Like,
I think it's just that there's a very big difference between hiding behind a screen and what you would say compared to how you would react. I think when someone sees someone and they become a little more humanized, like, oh, this is a person.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this character that we portray or the way we present ourselves or whatever we're doing online, like that starts to shift. And I think there's that. There's another component of like starstruck and people, oh, like they don't know. And all of a sudden it's like a drug to them. They're getting this endorphin rush and I don't know if it's that, but I'm saying there's a mixture of factors.
Yeah.
And it varies and I notice a lot of people that I can tell they're not a fan, but they're like, oh, like my little brother will freak out, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're probably a hater. Like,
yeah,
I get that too. That you're probably
I know
not
somebody
down.
that likes you.
Exactly. You're like,
We
but
get
it's
that
not
all the
me.
time.
I don't.
Sometimes, yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
My
sure, we'll take a
girlfriend
picture.
watches you all the time, or like, you know, yeah, somebody they know watches.
And just,
I don't watch you.
no,
Your
trust-
shit, I don't watch that shit, but one of my dumb friends does. I'm gonna send him a picture.
Well, and then you
doing
see the more
bunny ears on
extreme
there.
versions of it, which I never really talk about either. But you get have you guys ever encountered the autograph hounds?
Never.
Those are the scary.
I've only been asked to autograph something like 2 or 3 times.
Only like at the end of a live show or a meet and
Right,
greets.
right,
People will bring stuff they want you to sign. But
So there's these eBay sellers. They're called autograph hounds. I guess I don't know the exact term, but that's what I've researched them a lot because I wrote a movie and there was autograph hounding as part of it. But I have had very gnarly experiences. These people, they wait for you at the airport when you go. They somehow know someone at the airport. They know your flight time. They bring like 7 vinyls and they're like, yo, like, and you're like, I'm not signing these. Like, I know what you're doing. They're like, no, I'm a huge fan. I can name you 10 songs right now. They like research you and find this stuff. And their whole job is to sell these autographs. Cause I don't really do much autographs. I only do normally OT for for stuff that's tied to like, it's just like a simple initial. And then I do my real signature. This is the Scooter signature, which is like the official one I do when I meet someone. So long story short, these people are fucking scary. Like I've had them randomly show up into the show. They somehow snuck behind the stage in Australia one time, and then I flew across the country, and the same dude was waiting for me in a lounge.
Whoa.
He's like stalking me across the entire country of Australia.
And then they just like sell it afterwards.
Here's one right
They
here.
sell it, but how much does it go for? Okay, so I've seen ones that are like $500. Obviously, they're not worth much. This is $89 or whatever. But like their whole day, they've spent money researching. They buy the vinyls, then they spent all this time researching you. They've driven from God knows where to get to this person's flying across a country to find me. And I've had extreme levels of it where these people get very aggressive. And if you don't say yes, they start like coming after you. And I've been chased in cars many times.
Really?
4 different
I can
occasions
see that.
can
These people
think
are
of.
psychos.
Crazy.
Man.
Where it's like, I didn't, and one time when there's an experience where it was a festival, it was not some kind of show. I was very sick. And I was with this girl and we were going to the hotel after someone I was seeing. And this guy was coming up to me. I was at the venue leaving and he was like, yo, let me get a picture. No, they asked for the signature. Then they want the picture to verify the signature as well. And also they can do these things like write it out to me and then they can wipe off the name because there's certain shit you can just wipe off a Sharpie. So you don't need to like, whatever. They're like, make it out to me. Like making it like feel like they can't sell it again.
Yeah.
Long story short though, this person was outside the venue and I'd signed someone's earlier and I was like, I didn't really realize what it was. I was just walking and trying to get by them. And long story short, this dude gets in the car, chases the Uber. I get to the hotel. He gets out of the car. He's like, Oliver, please sign this. I'm like, bro, I'm really sick. I'm not interested. Like, I don't want to do any signature stuff right now. And he's like, sign this fucking shit. I'll pay you $20. I was like, no, I'm good, man. I don't feel good right now. I'm not doing this. Like, I'm done working for the day. He follows me into the hotel room or the hotel lobby. And he's like, you're a fucking nobody staying in this shitty ass hotel. And the girl I was with was like, call the police. It was just like so gnarly. And all these people in the hotel just like looking at us, staring. And I've had instances where I did a massage my last tour across America, and the autograph hounds found me in a few places, and one of them I was doing a massage under someone else's name, and I think that the masseuse tipped them off or something because they disappeared from a little too long. It was a weird situation, and when I came out there was 2 dudes waiting for me. They're like, Oliver, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, not interested, because now I'm just like, I have no bullshit meter for this.
Crazy.
I'm not signing anything. Like, I don't give a fuck, and it makes it hard because people are fans potentially. Like, I was coming back from Red Rocks, not to sidetrack, but there was people who want signatures, and they're like, we flew to Red Rocks and we have I'm like, are you sure you're not an autograph hound? Like, what's up? But they're like, I have to give certain people the benefit of the doubt. If they got one thing I feel a little bit if they're autograph hound watching this, turn it off. I don't even sign shit anymore because of this. If you look it up, like Dave Grohl, different people, they don't sign this shit, because there's a huge business around this. But anyways, I was saying, like, they followed me to a private massage under someone else's name.
That's wild.
And then they're waiting out, and then I'm like, fuck. I'm like getting to the Uber, and the Uber driver's like, hey, I'm like on the phone with my manager, my tour manager, being like, yo, what's up with this? Like, there's these people waiting. How could they have found this out? And then like, just trying to be like, yo, I don't know what's about to go down. And then basically the driver of the Uber is like, yo, hey, there's a silver car following us right now. And like, we're going like, and this has happened multiple times. Like, I can think of at least, it's honestly more than 4. It's happened in Mexico. It's happened in a lot of different places in America, mainly America, but they follow you, and if you run a red light, they run a red light. If you flip a Yui, they run a Yui. They cover up the fucking license plate, and then if you, I've
Why don't they just kidnap people?
To finish the story though, I ran backwards on the wrong way on a street so that I could get into the venue a secret way, and they followed us on the wrong side of the road. And I've had other times where I filmed them with my phone from behind the seat, and they started flipping me off, and they started writing notes. They're like, will you sign it when you get to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Or just taunting me. They're like, what was it? They were like, your music fucking sucks, just whatever. Stuff that's like, they just try to taunt you at a certain point. And like, I'm like trying to get a haircut to go somewhere, and then like, I can't even go. It was at the time when I was getting bowl cuts at Supercuts. I couldn't even get into the Supercuts because it was just scary. You feel very scared. So I was like, it's just one of those things where like, you see the effects of it, and people in their mind, they're like, oh man, I wish that I would be loved, or I wish that maybe this would be, you know, they feel lonely. In general, we feel lonely, and people think if you become loved universally as a celebrity, whatever, that everything is going to be better. But like, you just get more lonely, you know?
Yeah,
And this album that
alienating.
it is. And I felt Rapunzeled up into this fucking tower where it's like, I can't even go out. I can't experience. My friends are going out and I'm like, sometimes I'm just let go and let the guards down. And especially when I'm in other countries, I don't mind it as much because I feel excited that I'm in this place like fucking Egypt. And I'm like, holy shit, these people like want a picture. I'm like, that's epic. I've never been to this country. In Brazil, I'm riding in the subways, and to meet fans there in the underground subways is like legendary for me. I'm like, that's cool. After a while, you get sick of it, but there's a magic component overseas. In America, I'm like, not as excited. And in general, you just start to feel the weight of it being a job. And if you're going to go outside, you're working that day.
Right.
You're doing it.
I think there's an aspect to yours that is more more heavy than what ours is, because people don't really want shit from us when they come. Everyone that we see is like nice, but I think as a performer, you're commodity. You have like a commodity there where people can